All right, again, we can't do all this without our sponsors. And yeah, I got my sunglasses on because the future is so bright, you gotta wear shades. That's what's happening in this world today. I'm just kidding with the sunglasses, just having a little fun. Listen, we have been traveling the world, showcasing innovation, interviewing people about different ways of building different technologies. But there is one question: how do we power it? How do we bring solutions to remote areas? Or how do you just power a job site you're just starting out on? Well, today we're going to talk about this because GPod America's Andrew Seelye is going to tell us what problem we're solving and why we're solving it and how we're getting there and how he is doing it, because he is one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to off-grid technology, off-grid living. He has built several buildings off the power of the sun and the sun only. Let's bring on Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, Dave? How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for having me here.
I am doing amazing. Amazing. I miss my bed, so one of these days I'll get back to my own bed. Outside of that, there is so much awesomeness happening around the world. You know, Austria, Germany, Italy, Switzerland. It's happening all around us. And here I am, I'm overseas. And then I say, oh my God, what is Andrew doing? All of a sudden, Andrew's bringing some new awesomeness to the table. So Andrew, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you're working on, and then we'll hop into it.
Thanks, Dave. I'm Andrew Seelye from GPod Americas. We're based in Texas. We've got a design team that we're part of that's out of Australia. You probably have seen our Dwell product, and we're bringing the Nexus development platform to the marketplace as well, so people can learn to use industrialized construction. So Dave, all of our designs are industrialized. We do a lot of custom things because we have to at this point in the market. We're just trying to stay very flexible. Today, we are talking about our infrastructure products. So what I'm sitting in is it's a real simple product. It's a containerized solution that's deployable pretty much anywhere, and it comes with the ability to generate electricity, store that electricity, and distribute it for work. We can do pretty much anything you need to do with solar these days. And really, it's just about the packaging of the building connections to connect to the ground wherever you're going to deploy the building, and then adding the solar on top in an easier format that's more in line with what we're doing with industrialized construction. So these are things that are easy to scale. We can make them very small. We can make them very large. It really just depends on where is it going, who's it for, and how are they going to use it, how are they going to deploy it. And you've seen our Dwell product. It's an all-in-one. There's a lot of mechanical design in there. And this is a simpler version, but a lot of the same themes, where we use the container as a frame, a structure that we can connect to with other components. And that's not very common in the industry, but it gives us some deployment advantages. And then, you know, recently we've added connectivity so that this is a solution you can send somewhere to do work, and it'll actually do work when it's not just providing electricity, but it's providing comms. And we can do that in a remote area where you don't really have a lot of connectivity. So when you need to work, you've got a chance to work.
All right. So what you're telling me is you're not sitting in your basement right now.
I don't have a basement. No, this is a containerized solution. So it's our job site trailer, but you know, metal buildings are good for a lot of things, but they're not great for radio frequency. So immediately you've got this connectivity problem. Can you get radio frequency through the Faraday cage? Is pretty tricky. So what we have here is a combination of outdoor access points. We've got indoor access points, and there's a NID that connects the two in terms of a cable connection box. And then we've got our connections. Go ahead.
NID? I have no idea. NID? What is a NID, Andrew? Come on now.
I gotta look it up. It's a network interface device, I think is what they call it. But it's where you have all of your types of cables, barrel connections, RJ45, whatever it is. It's like a combiner box, or when you'd be doing the same thing with electrical low voltage, when you've got things that need to pass from one cable to another in an enclosure that's waterproof and secure.
So let's break this down. So we're talking about power, we're talking about connectivity, we're talking about it being mobile, where it can be delivered to a new construction site or a disaster area. I mean, it can be delivered anywhere, is what I'm hearing, is what I'm hearing now. And I want to get into the connectivity part and all of that, because obviously connectivity on the road and in the middle of nowhere is very important to a guy like myself.
Yeah.
But from a power perspective, how much power are these mobile units able to generate for a construction site? I mean, when I look at a construction site and I see cranes and power tools and elevator lifts and all that, I mean, is that what we're talking about?
Well, yeah, Dave. So all of this would scale. So at some point, whatever scale you're deploying is finite. It's infinite in some ways when you're doing small things, and then it's finite when you're doing big things. Yeah. This system is based on 10 kilowatts of generation. It's not a very big system. We'll double that before we're done at this project. But this is the work side of it. It's very basic. It's kind of stone simple. And that we can charge electric vehicles, Tesla, one-wheel bicycles, motorcycles, anything like that. We can run any kind of equipment that you'd need on a typical job site for residential construction. And I mean, solar works really well. You just have to build the generation and storage capability to do the work. So it all really comes down to what kind of work are you trying to do. And we're not talking about utility scale solar. This is small scale solar. So in the realm of residential construction, no big limits. Here we're welding, we're fabricating steel. So we're doing a little more. This system is really designed to do the work on our site. So it's not designed for residential, but obviously it covers all those same, it's just electricity. But we're putting out 240 volts, more or less can handle, this system as it is can handle 32 amps, which is the highest steady load. So that's a constant load. For a long period of time, particularly when the sun is shining, can't do it. The battery bank isn't that big, so can't do it overnight, but it does a lot of work. Really, I think people would generally assume that solar can't do much, or the other extreme is that it can do everything, and everything is sized for a specific,
Sure.
Cars only fit so many people, buses only fit so many people, so everything's finite. It's just sized for the work we're doing.
So I've been to the property somewhere in Texas, right? And all of the properties and buildings on your property, I'll say that 5 times, right? Well, they're all off grid, right? I mean, even you collect your own water, you process your own human matter, all this stuff you guys do. And I remember walking in your power bank building, right? The container with all the power, and it was beautiful. And I'm assuming that all of those years of experience has kind of led you to what you're doing now. I mean, you've kind of worked through the ups and downs and built out that entire property with no public utilities, right? Because on your property in Texas, you don't have any public utilities on that. And it's how many acres?
It's 11. It's a little over 11 acres, and we've got all solar here. So all of our electricity is solar generated. It's just generated on site. It's pretty typical, and we don't have any public utilities of any sort. We use rainwater. We don't use a well. Right. So and the point of this whole project, if anybody's been following along, is because we wanted to show how to do construction and this type of development in an environment that we maintain in a fairly natural state, out of reach of the usual conveniences. We do a lot of work in our industry making assumptions about how the work is going to be done. And if you've got a business that needs temporary power, but your timeline is now compromised because you don't have temporary power yet, there are ways to do the work early on or anytime you need to without being dependent on that temporary power. And if you're not in an area where they deliver electricity like you'd usually get it, you can still do the work. So this is just an example project for us that we wanted to build out the showcase that lets people understand how it works, and then they can understand on their own how to integrate it into their projects. Hopefully that's what happens.
So, and you started this project, and I know there's some hush hush because you're getting ready to roll some things out, and I mean that's with every project. But I mean, you have some pretty heavy hitting, partners that are helping bring some of this technology forward, and you can share if you like or not share at this point. But I think power's one thing. Having comms and connectivity and internet, especially in the world of construction, where you're uploading plans, downloading data. You're trying to, if you're in our world, Andrew, and you're living in a digital twin where there can be real-time communication between the job site and the factory, and if you're not doing that, by the way, you should be. You need that connectivity for things to really function the way they need to function. Or maybe the power grid went down and now you still got comms, man. It's like you're like a military operation in a box.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're really that's why we needed those folks to help us do the connectivity part, because as I always say with consumer electronics, they don't really, it's kind of vaporware everywhere you look. And if you're dealing with the military spec things and really high-end engineering, when someone's going to die, they take it a lot more seriously, and the connectivity opportunities are very, very serious. So I think we knew early on that we needed to get that level of product to our customers. We're hospitality focused. We're kind of dwelling a little bit in the consumer space right now to build out the product offerings and get the market in place. But really, it's all about the connectivity at a commercial level. And you're absolutely right. When we're working with so much digital design and manufacturing, the operations need to be able to work in sync with all of that. And we wanted a solution that had a pretty good two-way. So you're not just downloading, but you can upload pretty high speeds too. And of course, you're depending on whatever is available. We are adding Starlink in there as well to play with that. But whatever your limitations are, they will always be better with a system like this. And we literally can work anywhere that we need to. That's a genuine truth, because all of the solutions we're using have been deployed for very serious missions all over. So we know quite a bit about them.
So let me ask you this. Is FEMA looking to use this type of technology? Are they already using this technology, or are you getting ready to surprise us as you're gonna catch up to Elon Musk as one of the wealthiest men in the world, right?
Who? Yeah, I think that the emergency response industry is going to be a primary source of opportunities for us. I think the military folks, DoD, DOE, there are a lot of use cases that they're quite excited about. I've been working on this for a couple of years and put the power part of it out there early on just because we had it done and wanted to talk about it, and that got some attention, but not in comparison with the communications side of it. So once we got the comms that they understand is so readily deployable, that made a big difference. And there are some emergency response vehicles that set up command centers, mobile command centers. It's along the same, what we're doing is along the same lines. We're able to deploy something to a community that needs connectivity for emergency response or for whatever the mission is. And those products aren't really well developed. So the tech side of it, the digital tech side of it, and the mechanical tech side of it, the construction part of it hasn't really been exploited very much. And we think we can do that pretty well. So definitely FEMA and the others will have the ability to deploy a single building into a community and use 5G, for instance, to provide everybody with a connection, so we can make sure we know where folks are at and we know where the search and rescue, whatever, all the support, the individual missions have the connectivity they need.
So you said 5G. So let me ask you, when I travel the country, I'm using what they call cellular bonding, where I can have multiple carriers and it's bonding my signal together through some pretty heavy duty equipment. And it's expensive, and you really have to understand the technology to use it. And it's not without its ups and downs either, but is that kind of what you guys are looking to use in your system, or did I let the cat out of the bag? You're smiling.
No, you're on it there. So we're working with Dejaro, which is an unbreakable connection solution provider. They have software that runs in this case on Dell hardware. So we've got a gateway that has their SIM cards and their software on it, and they can take, in our case, 4 or 5 signals, so maybe 2 Starlinks and T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T, and they're going to aggregate that into an unbreakable connection, meaning if one of those connections failed or is not producing what it needs to, we can still get the bandwidth we need out of the remaining parts of all that signal. So yeah, you're talking about the right thing. And Dejaro does a lot of work for call centers like 911 call centers, and for sure they're integrated in all the emergency response use cases. That's really important to have those kinds of things. And
I think a real current way of explaining this is if anybody watches the Tour de France. I don't watch it much, but I actually do enjoy watching it sometimes. But I more enjoy watching it because you have all these people on motorcycles following the race, and they're live streaming the race in high definition from the road. And I already know because I saw it. Dejaro has a big part in making sure that connectivity happens because they're using cellular data to stream back the live television feed.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
There's a bunch of talk. I guess I can't really. I don't have the authority to reference those things, but those kinds of events, sporting events, any time where you have a need for a mission to deliver a result, they're the level of product that you need to be working with. You know, the consumer stuff just doesn't really do it.
Yeah, well, I look forward to showcasing this a little more. I know you're sitting inside of one of the units right now. That's the battery bank, obviously, behind you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on and give us the layout, size, how big are these things, how big can they get, all that stuff.
So our smallest building is 54 square feet. It really is just about the use case. Where are we going with it? How are we going to deploy it? How is it going to be used? What does it need to look like? How well does it need to work in extreme conditions? So we have a lot of different options on it, but it really comes down to the type of building, the deployment process. So we designed some deployment features in there to make it easier for the teams doing the work. And it really is just a power in a box. So whatever we're delivering to you will come with the parts, and then you can deploy that and turn it on. And that includes the mesh network. Out here, we have 11 acres that are lit up with a Wi-Fi system, a Wi-Fi network that's everywhere. And there are 4 nodes, so 3 hops, and you can wander anywhere around here and have really good connectivity. That's 500,000 square feet, and it's pretty incredible. And that's essentially how it would work. We have the ability to generate electricity, store the energy, and distribute that, and then that can do whatever work we need to do. So including the communications networks, and we'll be rolling out some other digital technology too. You know, I'm always trying to combine the analog, the material things with the digital things. So a lot of our business is really based on the foundation of the mechanical things, being like Dell would sell hardware to support a use case, a box. We're kind of doing the same thing with buildings. So it isn't really about one or the other. It's about the combination of the two things to get the mission done. And whether that's residential construction or a resort somewhere that we want to make sure we develop in a way that the nature is preserved and it's really going to be there in a long time, that's what we're after. And we need that digital technology to make sure that we can deliver a specific result, because like you were saying with digital twins, we need to be able to design things digitally to do a good job. And then we need to be able to measure it in a manner that illuminates any failures or can substantiate any claims that we make about how well it's working. So all of those features are really important. We got to have the digital for that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, when you look at this, Andrew, and you think about, you know, what problem you're solving, you know, having remote power isn't anything new. I think having remote power with high level connectivity is new and is needed. And I think that's where you said we should combine the two, and not only combine the two, we should bring your brains, which are the power horse, right? You know, behind all this, together with some. I mean, Dejaro is not a small name, man. I mean, it's a big. I wish on my travels I could afford Dejaro stuff, because it is considered the best out there.
Yeah, luckily, because we're local to Dell and I have connections there, we have access to their OEM solution providers. So, that's been the point is that the customers in that space, I'm construction focused. I'm trying to think about buildings. I'm trying to think about how are we going to deliver buildings in the future? How are we going to improve what we're doing today? How do we let regular folks get in on industrialized construction and make a difference? That's what improvement is for us, and that's what we're trying to do. But there's this other side of it where the folks in the other industries that can benefit. I mean, we're all living and sleeping and working in buildings most of the time, and so we all share that common risk and opportunity. And so we're trying to be open to those things. And some of the things are new to us. We didn't know there was a giant set of demand and use cases out there in the federal business space, and we found that now. So we hope to be able to bring them into the built environment challenges and opportunities we have, because we need support. I think the interesting side of what we're doing is that we're bringing together disparate groups that don't really have an overlap, professional overlap. And we do have an overlap because we all use buildings. We live and work and use buildings all the time, and they're not very good. So we need to do a better job. And how do we enable ourselves to do a better job, respond better when communities need help? And when we're supporting national teams that have critical missions, we need to make sure that they're able to do their work as best they can. And, that's all part, it's really going to come down to buildings. If the buildings have a huge energy demand, we're not doing something right. When they're not durable or easy to deploy, we're not doing something right. So all of those things need to be considered, and there's a lot of overlap. So hopefully we can involve the communities that we haven't so far in the construction space, because we're all stakeholders in this situation. And we're not home yet. We got a ways to go. There's some things we could do better. So,
well, we're gonna hop to some questions in here in a second, but just food for thought on this, Andrew. As we start seeing the 3D printing world and we start seeing pop-up manufacturing happening on job sites around the world, I mean, this could be a big asset for those pop-up factories, for the 3D printing companies, and for that remote stuff, to where it fills in a void, so you can get construction going right away. You can get the manufacturing going right away, have all the comms for the teams, for the robots and everything else to be talking. So I think that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah,
why don't we go to some questions?
True. Yep, absolutely true.
Let's say hi to a couple people here real quick. Hey, what's happening, Greg? Good to see you, man. He says good afternoon. Man, I haven't been like live in a couple weeks with my travel. I mean, we've been putting out live stuff, but live. I miss saying hi to everybody. Oh, Henry Mickelberg. I know he was going to hop over and see us, and I'm still hoping we can figure something out. We got some other trips coming. Now and again, he says you have to suffer fools. Proud to know Andrew and grateful that he's not one of them.
Thanks, Henry.
Yeah,
honestly. Be here for Henry. You got to be here for MotoGP in the spring, so no excuses this year.
That's right. All right, Peter DeMaria, what's happening, my friend? Thanks, Dave. Met Andrew at World of Modular, and he's based in Tejas, Texas. My experience has been such that no one has given a decent presentation on off-grid without trying to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm looking forward to all that Andrew has to share. It's already informative, and he has some more comments down here. Hey, there's the big man on the block. DC Live, great around the world, as well as back home with Andrew. It's always great. All right. So Peter says, it sounds like Andrew's system is widely accepted in Texas. Is this strategy system approved for use in California? Various hurdles have presented themselves in the past, specifically emergency tied to the grid power requirements by local governing authorities, have always prevented us from being completely off-grid. Is this still the case in Cali? Has Andrew done any installations in California?
Well, we haven't done this particular solution in California yet, but I think I might be wrong. California is a special case, and it's hard to really speak clearly about it if we haven't had 20 years of trying to do something there. I think the question is it temporary? Is it permanent? How is it being used? And I think that there's no real utility issue. We can connect to the grid as a grid assist. We would never be grid tied, because then you're you're really only working to support the grid. You're not focused on doing local work. So I don't know how to answer that question until we have a little more detail. Feel free to reach out to me if you got a use case. I'm sure we can figure it out. It really, I mean, there are some utility restrictions, but I think those are technical. They're not going to be a legal issue. It's not a development issue. If it's permanent or if it's temporary, there's probably a way through it. And, you know, we need to be able to, like something I don't talk about much, but it is a good use case, is if you've got a building that's heavily shaded or isn't really suitable to put solar on top of, using the structure of the existing buildings there to support the solar, you can use an outbuilding, which would be what we're doing. And you can energize anything you need to with a building that's an accessory, essentially. Yeah. So lots of options.
Hey, Peter, thank you so much, man. Yeah. Truly a blessing every time you join us. One of my favorite people in the world. And he's a heck of an architect, too. You should see some of the projects he's done in California. If you don't know Peter, please reach out to him and check out his stuff. Now we got TA Seelye, which stands for Trudy Seelye, Mac McDonald, I'm believing. Yeah, I see she popped up down. She got tired of hanging out by herself. There she is. There was me commenting on YouTube, feeling lonely, and you're all over here. Yeah, I'm still rubbish with the tech. Well, aren't we all? I'm horrible with the tech. So it's okay. Trudy, good to see you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Peter Molinar's, and he's doing math. You know, as soon as somebody starts doing math on the show or puts a spreadsheet up, I turn into a possum. I roll over and freeze. I'm like, somebody else has to handle that stuff. My brain's not. My brain's just wired to run my mouth. That's about what it's wired to do. So good to see you, Peter. Glad you're. Huh?
I think, Peter, I think you're trying to say square meters. I mess that up all the time. But yeah, we're talking about 5 square meters or more.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Henry says California is a special case when it comes to being off-grid. Something about autonomy. So
you ought to know.
Here, I mean, you know, today was an inside look on what you're doing, Andrew. And when I saw some of your posts going out there, I thought it was really, really important to support you and what you guys are doing with Dejaro. Sounds like Dell's involved in this a little bit as well from the comments. You know, to me, it's always important to keep supporting the people that are really out there making change and trying to do it better. I mean, even your projects that you're building on your property, they're self-funded. I mean, you're really putting in the effort and being a leader in this space. And by adding this to it, I think just really took you to a whole nother level, because now it's just not building science. It's how do you leverage, you know, the natural resources and the connectivity of these companies to make something that works for the broader masses. And I'm not talking in the, you know, in our just high density areas of the cities. I'm talking to help people around the world in remote areas and things. And that's really, I think, where your mind's been on this.
Yeah. I think the easiest way to say it for this crowd is we're trying to enable industrialized construction in all its ways. And we got a long ways to go. You know, if we're going to enable a new generation of developers and builders, we need to bring these kind of solutions, and the bureaucratic mess that we make as human societies. You know, each generation gets a chance to take a whack at it and try to improve, and we want to enable that. I don't think we've, you know, we're not doing too much. So I think we always need to do more. And there's a lot that we can do from the infrastructure side. And that's why we wanted to showcase this. You know, it's not simple to bring out these various prototypes, but it is a good mental exercise. And people really need to understand that they have other ways they can do things. It's stressful when you're running a business and you got to get something done and you just don't have time to think about it. But for those of us that can stop and think about it, we need to work out the solutions, because we can't waste time, and we need to enable folks to do things better. And industrialized construction is the way to go. It doesn't have to look a certain way at this point. It just needs to be progress. So thanks to everybody. You know, we're all in the same boat.
So can you develop one of those modules about the size of a backpack that I can travel with?
Yeah, we've got a mobile solution for sure. And that would be something that will piggyback on, you know, all of these comms, the 5G, the Wi-Fi, all of it is, we do have mobile solutions. So if somebody wants, they end up being in an enclosure that's like a rollaway, you know, and the gateways are getting smaller and smaller. The kit is getting smaller and smaller. So You do have to carry a battery with you to run those, or you have to have access to power once in a while to recharge those batteries. But yeah, we could totally make a solar version, a little umbrella. You can wear it on your head and something. We'll make you something fun.
As long as I can have a helicopter on top of here, generating power as I'm walking around.
A little fan. Yeah, we'll do that.
Passive house answer to everything.
Yeah.
What is the passive house answer to everything?
Depends.
There it is. I love it. You probably saw it before I put it up there. So anyhow, listen, Andrew, I really wanted to make this a sneak peek into what you have going on. I know you're going to share some photos and some pictures of everything as well, and we're going to put that out and we'll tie it to this video. But Andrew, how do people get a hold of you to do this if they want one of these?
So the website gpodamericas.com gives you a chance to review the products that we're showcasing right now. There are a lot of things in the custom category. So reach out to us if you need clarification. It's a little tricky to be super clear right now as we're developing it all, but they can reach us there. And if you want to follow along, most of our social posts are on LinkedIn or especially Instagram. So GPod Americas Instagram and myself or GPod Americas on LinkedIn.
Maybe one of these days somebody will teach me how to use Instagram. I'm just not very good at it.
Yeah, I see your stuff there. Just keep posting. We're good. we try to include you.
Yeah. I got it. Somebody, I got to draw the line somewhere, man. I'm always I'm on all these different platforms, but I think Instagram's pretty awesome. All right.
It's good to show.
All right, Andrew, listen, man, you hang tight there. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing this with you for sure. What did Trudy say? I see Jen put something up there. Regular season, I hear, for not doing more digital and remote projects location, Australia and Africa especially, is staying connected. The world awaits Andrew. That's
Thanks,
right.
Trudy.
I think Andrew has arrived. He just hasn't arrived in Africa yet.
Well, we actually have some opportunities in Africa. So I think the whole world really, Trudy, you got a good point there. When we don't have existing infrastructure, it's much easier to bring something in that's modularized, that's relocatable, that's flexible, that's autonomous, so we can plunk something down and do real work with it right away. And as the needs change and the local communities grow and whatever else we can add to it, that's one of the great things about industrialization and modular. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew. So when you deliver your first unit to Africa, right, I want to come off the plane holding you above my head with, like the Lion King when the new king was born. And we'll walk down the ramp.
Done.
Awesome.
It's done. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, Andrew, don't go anywhere. The rest of you out there, thanks for tuning in. Please support Andrew. Go check out his stuff. And, hey, share this video, too. It's going to help get the word out there. We're going to tie it to some of his other posts that he's been doing. And as this continues, as this grows, and as your partners really want to get more comfortable, I'd love to have them all on the show. And maybe we have a roundtable discussion with some of the biggest players in the industry on the tech side. Well, both of them are on the tech side and the digital side. So I think that would be great. You up for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And they would be too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Andrew, don't go anywhere. The rest of you, make sure you say thanks to our sponsors. Here's a couple more. Thanks for watching. I'm Dave Cooper. We'll see you on Friday. Bye now. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.